Hi, everyone. I like to walk around, so if I move too much, just let me know. My name is Gabrielle Crevecouer. I'm a technical evangelist at Microsoft, currently located in Chicago. I'm originally from Staten Island, and I know I'm going to get a lot of crap about it, so it's cool, just give it to me. But as she mentioned before, I'm currently specializing in open source development. So this was my first job out of school, and let me tell you, it's probably the best job you can have out of school, and I maybe will probably never leave, because I'm so spoiled right now. So today I want to present with you guys my first hardware project ever. I actually went to school for computer science, so we don't do a lot of hardware at Florida State when it comes to computer science. In order to do more hardware, I would have had to do CE or EE. So this project itself was actually a really big journey for me. It took me about a good month and a half to really understand, or not really understand because there's still things I'm still learning, but get a good understanding of how microcontrollers work, get a good understanding of breadboards and wiring and things like that. So I just want to bring you along this journey with me so you guys can see how I actually built my first hardware bot. But before I actually start talking about the project, I do like to get to know a bit of my audience. Clearly, we're here, so a lot of us are very in touch or are very good with Node.js, so I don't want to talk too much about that. But is there anybody in here who's never done a hardware project ever before? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, because sometimes I don't like going to talks and it's like, they're talking about stuff and I'm just like, what are you talking about? You're too smart. So it lets me know that there's certain things that I may want to break down more for you guys in the audience. And for the rest of the audience who's like, totally, man, I do this like for a day job. I can eat an Arduino for a sandwich. So that's great. I'm not on your level either. I'm somewhere in between that. But just please be patient with me as we step through maybe the little things that may be a little tedious for you. So a little bit on why I actually built this bot. So this little critter right here who looks just like me, it's not my kid. I'm only 23, I'm not ready. If you're 23 and you have like 3 kids, go for it. It's just not what it wasn't in my plan, not yet. So my parents, I don't know why, but I was 16 and they were like, hey, we're having a kid. And I'm like, I'm 16, like it's over. But it wasn't, so she's here. Her name is Brienne. She is currently 6 years old, and when I go home, she follows me literally like a shadow. So I can't go anywhere without her, being on my end. Like, so what are we doing? We're now. She wakes me up at 7 in the morning, just like, hey, I'm awake. Hey, I'm not. So when I was in college, I went to Florida State, and my parents actually now live in Miami. So when I would go home, it was really easy to spend a lot more time with her because college students do everything at night. So during the day when she's up, it's like I could be up with her, doing everything, running around, having tea time, so on and so forth. But then I got a job. And I would go home to visit my family, and I'd work from home, and she'd be like, you're so boring now. Like, trust me, for a 6-year-old, she has a lot to say. So she's just like, Gabby, you're so boring now. You don't play with me anymore. I really don't like it. I'm just mad at you. I hate you. And she'd just go away. So it really hurt my feelings, because she's my pride and joy right now. And so I really was like, well, dang, how can I find a way for me to work and for you to enjoy the time that I'm spending with you? How can I make my work time your playtime? So this is about Christmas break, and at the same time, it's Christmas, so Frozen is just in season. And she absolutely loves this movie, and I had never seen it before. And she's like, can we watch it? And I was like, sure. So I had taken off 2 weeks of Christmas time to spend with my family, and I spent every day watching that movie with this girl. And so let me tell you, I went from kind of hating it, because I would see all these, do you want to build a snowman? Little memes and gifs, and I'm like, we live in Florida, there's no snow, it doesn't make any sense. So I went from really hating the movie to actually really falling in love with it, and it became my first idea, oh my gosh, I want to build something that's Frozen incorporated, that can really make my sister happy, so she could be my test subject, and I could be like, yeah, boss, I'm totally working, while my sister is over here laughing, having a good time. So this is a really good way, even if you are really advanced in hardware, but it's really just a good way to connect with the child of your life. So whether it is your kid or your godkid or niece or nephew or little cousin, this is just a great way to kind of make your job a little bit more fun and kind of put a smile on their faces. So a little bit about my journey was, as a beginner, it was kind of just like, well, where do I start? And starting was just, you kind of look into, okay, microcontrollers for beginners or hardware for beginners. And the first two boards that typically come into play is usually a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino. You know, they're very famous. They have a ton of tutorials to get started and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, my job is like, well, what do you want to specialize in? What do you want to do? What languages are you interested in? And things like that. And I was like, well, I am really good with JavaScript, so let's just keep rolling with that, okay? And for some reason, I don't know, I legit one day went on my computer at work and I just said, I binged, sorry. I didn't say that. I Googled using Bing. That's a good one. I just typed in robots and JavaScript, and the first thing that came up was Nodebots. And I was like, oh my goodness, my mind was just like blown. Like I didn't know what Node.js was yet. Like I said, they don't teach these things in school. So I was like, what? Like I can do JavaScript outside of the web? Like it was like my world was so made. Like nothing can make my day. So I really got into Nodebots, and it was kind of like, okay, well, how can I get started with the Raspberry Pi? How can I get started with an Arduino? And as many of you know, a lot of these boards don't natively run Node. And then I discovered the Tesla, but that's another project for another day. But they don't natively run Node. So you have a board like an Arduino that runs sketches that kind of have either C or C++ type of sketches, or you have your Raspberry Pi, which can honestly run anything because it's a computer. But a lot of times, most people do their projects with the Raspberry Pi and Python. So I was like, well, how do we get JavaScript onto these boards? I was so confused, and then I discovered Johnny 5. Yeah, so awesome. So I don't know, I was hoping maybe I'd come to New York, I'll meet Rick Waldron, but he's not here, I don't think he is. If he is here, that's cool too, I'll be backstage. But so I discovered that, and actually, I did a lot of work into it, and I wanted to build these projects. And one of my favorite things about joining the Node community and officially being a part of it is you guys are so awesome. Like, if I tweet about something, or I put in a GitHub issue, that should be a word. It should be. You know how many times you put in a GitHub issue? Really think about it. So, I put in a GitHub issue, or I went on Gitter and just said, hey, I need help with this project. Someone in the Node community was just like, oh, hey, I can help you with this. Or, hey, you can make you understand this thing a little bit better. And a lot of times, actually, Rick Waldron himself, just like, hey, I'm Rick, just a normal person. And I'm like, dude, you like created my whole job. Like, what are you talking about? You're not a normal person. So, that's kind of how I got started. And so when I was exploring the differences between Raspberry Pis and Arduinos, I was kind of trying to figure out, what do I want out of my bot? Do I want it to do 1,000,001 things and be super powerful and awesome? Or do I need it to run maybe like 1 or 2 tasks and be great at that as well? So I settled for the 1 or 2 tasks, because like I said, this was my first project. So I chose an Arduino, because I don't need a full-on computer doing its own thing all the time. So I stuck with my Arduino. And actually, for the beginners in the room, if you're not really good with wiring and understanding headers and pins and things like that, I would personally suggest an Arduino. I felt like it was a lot more easier to learn their pinouts and understanding how wiring works with Arduino pins versus Raspberry Pi has a bit more of a complicated pinout. So kind of already talked about Johnny 5. For the beginners, if you aren't aware of what Johnny 5 is, it's pretty much a really great, awesome way to use JavaScript or Node on these different boards that I discussed earlier. So in my box of goodies, I literally have like 5 boards. No, I have 4. But I have my Raspberry Pi. Oops. Total different project, but Raspberry Pi. I have my particle photon, and I have an Arduino with a shield on top of it, which I'll discuss the shield in a second. And so Johnny 5 honestly works on all these boards and many, many others. And it's actually really cool. So if you've never used it before, I suggest literally going home and plugging in that little LED and running Hello World for Johnny 5, and it'll be like you baked a great cake if you like cake. It was for me. So it's been super awesome kind of seeing how Johnny 5 has really connected the physical world with the software world, at least for people who aren't used to hardware. So it's been super cool. So of course we have these oh so wonderful shields, because when you get a piece of hardware, you aren't given like all the functionalities in the world, because what you want in life does not come in that small little Arduino box. So a lot of times with, oops, what is that? Anyway, a lot of times with these boards, they have things called shields, or Raspberry Pis have hats. And these shields and these hats will add extra functionality to these boards that you need. So I have this MP3 player shield. A lot of shields can plug literally right into your Arduino, like this one. It just fits right into the headers. But some shields you actually have to wire up on a breadboard next to it. Also, side note, you can stop me at any time if you have any comments or questions. And another side note is if you want to come see all these wonderful boards afterwards, I'll be outside so you can come look at them if you're interested. Back to reality. So yeah, I got this MP3 playing shield because all I'm thinking, the first thing I thought was, well, I want Let It Go to be involved. If you don't know what Let It Go is, you will learn today. I promise you that. Let It Go is probably the most famous song from the movie Frozen. So my first thought was I want Let It Go to be involved because she sang it in the shower. She sang it when we had breakfast. She sang it during lunch. She just sang it. She didn't stop singing it. And once she learned how to use YouTube, it was over. It was over. She sang it in the car. So I really wanted Let It Go to be a part of it. And I was like, well, I need a way to play music. So like a newbie, I went online and I'm just looking up speakers and this and that, and I got this like, you have to wire up this speaker and it didn't sound right, and ended up being a piezo speaker, and it was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Till I found this shield, and it was like, great. So what this shield does, it literally has just a regular audio jack that you just plug in a speaker, which I have one right here. Cute little portable speaker with an auxiliary jack. That's it. And then there's music in this wonderful micro SD card that just sits inside the shield. So I suggest you get one. There's actually a newer version, which is also in my box. So I'm going to be rebuilding this next week. So stay tuned for the new MP3 player shield at NoAshiCodes on Twitter. I will have all the updates you'll need for this shield. So I'm going to talk a little bit exactly on how my Frozen bot works. So as I mentioned, I have my Arduino, I have my shield, and I have my speaker. But where does the node come into play? So ironically, as much as I was in love with Johnny 5, and I was really getting into it, at the moment when I built this bot, Johnny 5 was not compatible with everything that you may want from an Arduino, so it wasn't compatible with this board. So I discovered serial port, which ironically, Johnny 5 runs via serial port. Who knew? Because I didn't, but I bet you all did. So serial port is just a very simple protocol in which your host computer can talk to your microcontroller via serial ports. Wow, so awesome. So that's exactly what I use to actually talk to my Arduino for this project. I simply plug it in, and I use my Arduino IDE to upload a sketch that can actually control my shield, and then from there, I simply use serial port and node to actually run the bot and actually tell it what I want to do. But there is a bit more than just playing music. I was like, well, how can I make this interesting? Because I really don't want her to press a button and it just plays music all day long. It would just be stressful. So I was like, well, why don't we make it voice activated? That'd be so cool if she said something and, then it went. Then I'd have to turn it on, of course, because if it's not on, then it's not going to work. But if she said something, then it reacted to what she says. Something more beyond a button, So my doll is actually the doll's in here. But my doll is voice activated. So what will happen is the bot, or the doll, will listen out for the words Elsa, Frozen, and Sing. And if it hears those words, then it'll play a snippet of the song Let It Go using the MP3 player shield. So how I did this was, at the time, like I said, I was a beginner. So all of it is kind of an illusion. She's 6, so I was like, how smart could she really be? She is really smart, though, and she used the word thrice the other day, but that's another story. But I was like, she's not going to understand what's going on. So at the moment, I was trying to get recording working with the Shield, because it actually has a port for the mic. But there wasn't a lot of documentation, and actually the sketch I used didn't actually use that port at all. So I was like, well, dang, what am I going to do? So using the illusion, I actually do all of the recording using Node, but technically on my device, on my host device. So because my Arduino is plugged into my computer, it all kind of happens in one bubble. So as long as my computer hears Elsa, Frozen, or Sing, it'll then tell my Arduino, here's a certain track I want you to play, and play, because she said the right words. So it's actually pretty cool. The Node module I had, it's called Node Record. If you have a Windows machine, which doesn't look like many of you do, and that's okay, because I have a MacBook too. But if you don't have if you have a Windows machine right now, for some reason that actual Node module hasn't been updated in a few years, maybe like 2. So what happens now is it actually based off SOX, the audio package on your computer. But for some reason, SOX updated, and their Node module did not update. So on Windows machine, they're just clashing, and it's not working. But I'm actually in the middle of writing a blog post on an updated Node module for Windows machine. So if you are using one of those, I got you. Like I said, at No Way She Codes. But if you're on a MacBook, the code works just fine. Everything's great, like always. I didn't say that. So what happens is the computer will, once I turn on the bot, the computer will listen out. Once it hears something, it'll only listen for the next 5 seconds. And when it gets that snippet, it pipes that snippet of sound into a WAV file. It sends that WAV file to Microsoft Cognitive Services, in which a speech-to-text function occurs. So it'll take what it hears and turns it into speech. And from there, I analyze the speech. Did I hear those words, Elsa, Frozen, or Sing? If not, then the bot will tell you, nope, I didn't hear it. Sorry, we're not going to play. If yes, then the bot will start singing. The question I typically get at this point is, well, why Microsoft Cognitive Services? Why are you so biased? I'm actually not. I did a lot of research. I tried different APIs. And actually, when competing with Google, we actually beat Google, which was kind of a win. I felt proud at that moment. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Yes, I can actually say this on stage. But I actually noticed with at least speech-to-text, I can't speak for every API. Speech-to-text, we got 99.9% accuracy on most of the hits that I had with the API. But with Google, I kept getting in the 60s, 70s. So it might be better now. I'm not trying to say they suck or anything, because they don't. Google is a great company. Just saying that I'm not biased and I did my research. That is it. And we came out on top. So yeah, kudos to Microsoft. So that is pretty much it. Only Node modules that you will need for this project is the Node Record. I made my own speech module that is actually in my GitHub, which I can give you the GitHub link at the end if you want it. And I believe that's about it. Those are the major Node modules, and serial port, of course. So let's see if I can get this code up and running. Let's plug this bad boy in. Got my speaker. Also, that is kind of cool, though. It looks like a GIF that I didn't make on purpose. So I don't know what just happened. This is a little awkward, Okay, let's try that. Oops. It was like the remix of the presentation. Okay, so I'm just going to show you guys quickly exactly what I have. So this is the Shield. As I mentioned before, that is totally a particle photon. Don't worry about that. I just keep it plugged in at all times. But this is the Shield. They actually have a smaller one that I just bought from Adafruit with the same functionality. So I'm going to be implementing this literally this weekend. I just got it, so I'm really excited. But they pretty much have the same functionality. And this one, I can actually be able to do the recording straight from the Arduino. This is the Shield that I have. The Arduino is under it. Awesome. Can everybody see that just well? Yeah? Great. So also, this is my little speaker. You can get these wherever you get portable speakers from. My suggestion is make sure it's turned on. Because a lot of times I forget, and my demo is then like, oh, this doesn't work. Oh, no, it does work. I just forgot to turn it on. So I'm going to have everything turned on. I'm going to get this plugged in. Doop, doop, doop. Okay. Okay. So it's plugged in, the speaker's on, we're good to go. I don't really need that camera anymore. Maybe I'll just let it face me. You guys can see me. Hey, okay. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up the Arduino IDE. So this is exactly what it looks like. The Arduino IDE is really simple. It looks just like this. It doesn't have much more. This is exactly what a sketch looks like. So what's in the sketch right now isn't really important. All we need to know is that it is C++ and it makes my shield work. So it's plugged in. What is important to know that you want to take note of is it in tools? Yes. So this port number is actually really important. So 121. You want to remember that because when we're actually doing the serial port, we have to remember the port number. And a lot of times, especially if you switch like USB ports when you're doing your demos and stuff like that, it will change. So it's important to remember that. So just bring over my code really quick so we can change that or make sure it's the right port number. Oh, great. Right port number. Okay, so anybody want to come try it? You want to come up here and just make her sing? Really? Okay. Oh, yeah, come on. Awesome. Okay. So let me just double check with the IDE that everything is, let's get that bad boy uploaded. It says done. Does anybody remember me actually pressing the upload button? I didn't, right? Okay, see, that would have been a problem. So we're uploading. This normally takes about 10 seconds, but it might take longer today because, demo gods, yeah, always watching. So any day, tomorrow, today, next week. Great, it's uploading, still uploading. Anybody else have 100 pair of sneakers or shoes? Sorry, no? Just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, cool, it's uploaded, yeah. Okay, so, oops. When I say go, you can talk to it as much as you like. I typically do a sentence that has all 3 words, Elsa, Frozen, or Sing, or you can just say Elsa, Frozen, and Sing back to back to back all over again until it stops, okay? So whatever floats your boat. Oops, let's get this over here so they can see. All right, are you ready? All right. Please do not break. And go.
Elsa, if you're not frozen, can you sing?
Oh, that's nice. Did it hear you?
No.
Try again. Oh, I did hear you. Okay, I heard something. Hopefully it didn't hear me say, did it hear you? Okay. We're going to do this again. So, hold on. I know my code is just right because I just tested this bad boy yesterday. So we're going to do this again, right? And we're just going to keep saying Elsa. We're not even going to stop. Okay. Elsa, 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 and Elsa. You ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Elsa, Frozen, sing.
Elsa. Elsa, Elsa. Elsa. So low. That's like the bad snippet that I had to just play to mess up everything else, Like. That's like that little whisper. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so you can change the volume settings. I'm sorry, I didn't realize how big this room was. Typically, it's a little bit smaller and everybody can hear it. Okay, one second. Let's get back to this presenting. So yeah, that's my bot. So no, when I present it to her, it doesn't look this robotic or botty, as I like to say. What I actually do is I went to the dollar store, and they had like this cute little bucket, and it had like snowflakes on it, and I just knew it was meant for me in this project. So I bought it. I put like some tissue paper under it, and I put the Arduino and the speaker under it, so she doesn't see. And then I actually went and bought a whole new Elsa doll just for this project. It was weird because it was actually spring edition, so her dress was like pink, but she just knew it was Elsa, so it didn't even matter. And I sat the doll on top of the platform, and then I let the doll go, or I let her yell at it as long as she wants to till it starts singing. It's pretty funny when the doll actually isn't on and she's just waiting, like, so, hello? Just like, it's over, the game's over, it's over. So yeah, it's just an illusion. I suggest if you really want to get into this, do what I'm about to do and really revamp this project. I'm sure that there's 1,000,001 genius brains in here that are way past my level of hardware, and I'm sure you can make this bot a great thing. And honestly, if you do, please let me know. I love hearing people's feedback on my code, on the project, on how they might have made it better, and everything like that. So, next steps. If you do want to build your own doll or illusion of a doll for your child of your life, you can go to aka.ms/frozenbot, and I actually have a website that goes step by step on how to build it, gives you a link to the GitHub. There's actually a list of all the Node modules you'll need. There's a list of everything you need to buy and where you can buy it and how much it costs. And enhancements. So as I mentioned, I just bought a new shield because I want to make it better. Add as many things as you like to it. If you want it to make the doll's head spin, do that too. I'm so for it. And just in case, maybe your kid doesn't even like Elsa. Maybe they think Elsa is just the worst person in the world, and frankly, they don't like ice. I understand. Maybe they just like Power Rangers. You can totally change this up for any kid that you like. It's really about the SD card, and that's honestly the easiest part. Add some snippets from another movie or another show, and make it the perfect doll for your kid. And so hopefully with this, if you haven't already gotten into hardware, this talk makes you want to get into hardware. Like, I hope I excited you enough to be like, yeah, I'm totally going to go do something today, even if it's just getting that LED to work. And so I hope you guys were able to take away something from this talk. If you have any questions, find me on Twitter @NoWaySheCodes. That's the best way to probably get in contact with me. I'm always on it. And I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Thank you.